Hello, it is I, Eagle Flame, King of the Dragons, and yes, this is where I finally talk about 90s cliches, but here's the thing. I don't know who. Oh, wait, it's from Ursula Nizalowski. We're just gonna call her Ursula for now. But, anyways, top 10, I'm sorry, 10 tropes and cliches from the 90s that don't appear in movies anymore. Now, granted, though, this is not only just 90s cliches I hate. And I believe that Screen Rant knows that 90s cliches are literally outdated. No, I'm not kidding. They are sincerely outdated. Consider a. Excuse me, I literally had fucking Taco Bell. Consider a transitional period in many ways. The 1990s were not only the last decade of the 20th century, but also was the last to arguably have a district identity. This applied to not just the styles of clothing, but even the music genres and movies. So basically, what I'm just seeing here is that, oh God, business is business. I'm not going to reply to my Discord because of obvious reasons. I'm very busy right now. Hang on. Let me just, I'll be right back. I need to hide this camera. How do you turn this off? There we go. Jesus Christ. All right. Back to your everyday N-word past productions, I guess. But you know, we don't allow N-words in this type of community. But hey, if John Madden is still alive, then I guess there's no reason to hide it. For instance, there are practical tropes, cliches from 90s movies which scrape them from movies in other decades. But while some cliches would appear in later movies to an extent, others fade away, whether it was due to changing trends or greater social awareness. These 90 tropes don't usually show up in the movies nowadays. Cool characters that wear shades. Well, small shades, but you get the point. So I never really watched the Matrix films. I think my sister did, but that was pretty much back in like maybe 2001, maybe the 90s. I don't know. I could be wrong. Dead wrong. But no, I never watched the no, I never watched this. I was more of a comic book fan back then, but you already know that. So, in the 90s movies, we saw characters sporting sleek small shades as opposed to round bulkers, ones from the 80s and earlier. The point, though, it was the same as it gets across the coolness of the character wearing shades without saying anything. Yes, because saying something is something stupid because Dr. Michael Morbius was a part of the frickin' film franchise, aka he wasn't. So this honestly doesn't solve the frickin' problem of whether or not you care. They care. And I know that if my sister is watching this thinking that I just hate The Matrix. No, I think The Matrix is a good storyline. The Matrix 2 and The Matrix 3 and The Matrix Trinity, I think that's what it was called. I don't know. They were good movies. And I love John Wick. I love the John Wick films. I love Keanu Reeves as John Wick. I love the John Wick films. That's it. And I also love Kill Bill. What's wrong with Kill Bill? Tell me in the chat. What is wrong with Kill Bill? Or the comment section, I'm sorry. Tell me, what is wrong with Kill Bill? Why are there so many people hating Kill Bill now instead of back then? Why? This makes no fucking sense. Whatever. Sometimes these small shades would be paired with long black trench coat, clothing wise, as clearly seen in the Blade and Matrix movies. Plus, cool characters would wear shades regardless of what genre their movie was, whether it was action related or comedic. These days, shades are typically worn by cool characters in action movies and not much else. It's pretty obvious to me that this is like kind of like where we're going at here, and I just know for a faculty that the 90s definitely was not a time for me. Like I knew Power Rangers were a thing and I didn't watch that shit, and there's a reason why. Because it literally just didn't have the right, demographic for my time, you know what I mean? Now, yes, it was obvious that Super Sentai came out somewhere in 1976, and it's still going on to this day. I don't mind there be a lot of Power Rangers from the 90s. You can obviously argue with me in that in the comments, but whatever. Obvious environmental message that shoved in. Oh, oh no. Oh God, no. Before Al Gore and inconvenient truth. What? I never saw this. This is my first time. Jesus Christ. There was a growing awareness in the 90s about our impact on the environment. This is turn led to movies that attempted to raise such awarenesses by having characters protect the environment from cartoonishly evil bad guys. Granted, most of these kids' movies were such as Fern Gilly and Once Upon a Forest. See, I never watched these films as a kid. I mean, I think my friend, or I think my friend, told me about this type of movie, and I just never watched it at all. Granted, I think Maxine is kind of weird when it comes to these types of movies. Yeah, he's a hippie, but I don't really respect his like, weed culture. So if in case you're just a fan of weed, good for you. Just stay as far away as me. No hard feelings? Good. But there were a couple that involved notable action stars such as Steven Seagal and Chuck Norris. Oh, I know about Chuck Norris. Yeah, I know about him a little bit. I don't know which movie he was in, but it was funny, I guess. But that was like when I was a teenager. I don't know why. I just find it funny. I just did. Who started in On Deadly Ground and Forest Warriors, respectively, since the 90s. The only major film that was obvious in its environmental message was James Cameron's Avatar. Yeah, I think when it comes to Avatar, I did watch that film once, and I think it was from Disney. I don't know. I could be wrong. Tell me in the comments down below, is Avatar the movie was from Disney? Because like I don't I don't really I don't know, because like this really doesn't make any sense. Alternative rock or hip hop music and soundtrack. With origins in the 80s grunge and urban street music, alternate rock and hip hop were arguably the two most popular music genres during the 90s. See, I could definitely understand that from a mild perspective, a little bit more of a catastrophic way. But to be honest, though, I think with Dragon Ball, when it started in the 90s, I think there was that kind of Americanized 90s music that I don't know who the producer was, but I think it was like, I don't know. I don't know her name. But tell me in the comments who the hell that was, because Jesus Christ, I would love to listen to his analog horrors someday. But yeah, let's continue. So naturally, many movies during this period would incorporate either genre into their soundtracks in order to be hip with the kids. See, I don't really care about Vanilla Ice, like, at all. But I know that my friend back then, he cared about it, and well, let's just say it was a little bit cringe. I know it's a stupid word for Gen Alpha children, but it works here, so I can't really deny it. Moving on. What the hell is this? So movies even feature popular artists from these genres as a Jesus Christ. Let me retry it again. Some movies even featured popular artists from these genres as a form of self promotion, with examples like Cool as Ice, which started the rapper Vanilla Ice. Oh, I know about Vanilla Ice a little bit, but again, it's what it is. Or at the very least, these artists would make a cameo. Now, while band cameos still happen in movies alongside hip hop slash rap oriented soundtracks, alternative rock seems to have gone out of favor lately. Yeah, I guess that's just. Oh no. No! Why you do this? Why you do this, Screen Rats? Why? Oh, whatever. I'm gonna have to read this, aren't I? Well, now I see why these are just bad. This is bad. Okay. One person. who is a goth slash emo kid. Yeah, oh boy. I'm just glad that Harvey Weinstein is in prison because I don't want him near these types of people that are in the goth type of form, especially with that Luna woman. I don't even know who she is, but I don't even care. Though this isn't a clear del that though this isn't a clear delineation, I don't know how to spell it. You guys freaking whatever. Delineation. Yeah, delineation. Goths and emos have some differences. For instance, with the goth environment was influenced by the 1800s arts and literature. Emo relates to a type of punk music, but clothing-wise, they are very similar, and this style became more noticeable during the 90s. Sub Subsequently, I'm trying not to laugh, guys. There would be the least one character in the movie who was a goth slash emo kid or influenced by the clothing style. Few popular examples include Nancy Down from the Craft and The Crow. I have no idea what those movies are, but I feel like I've seen those before, but I don't know when. I may have seen those as a teen. Maybe I haven't. I don't know. Particular character. While Goth's emo kid does occasionally show up in the current movies, it's not as common. Yeah, that's kind of like what it's going on in this random time. But okay, sure, why not? Monkey who serves as a quirky animal companion. Yeah, I think this was a little bit out of touch. And wow, my viewers and editors are going to be mad at this. For whatever the reason, the 90s had a lot of movies that featured monkeys as animal companions. These range from small capuchin monkeys like Fingers from Monkey Trouble to Organturus such as the titular ape of Dumpston checks in. The only time I know about like monkeys was from the Jungle Book, and that was when I was almost a teenager, or when I think I was a teenager at the time. I knew about the Jungle Book because I saw that movie when I was a teenager, and given to the fact that that movie was definitely awesome, that was also like that other TV series. What was it called? I think it was on the Disney Channel back in the 80s and 90s. I don't know. I think it has something to do with a bear flying a plane. I think his name was Baloo. Whatever. While arguable, per preser- presergers to these kids kinds of move sorry, I didn't mean to say kids. To these kinds of movies could be seen in 50s comedies like Bedtime for Bonzo. They weren't as common compared to the 90 ones. This include films that use real monkeys like the Ace Ventura movies, as well as actors in ape costumes such as George of the Jungle. But with advance the advancement of CGI, there's no need to use costumes or real monkeys. True. That's pretty much what it is. What is this? Skaters that surfer dudes that show up at least once. What is this? Freaking uh I'm trying to remember the movie that had like the surfer dude in there. Oh whatever, who cares? During the mid to late 90s, extreme sports became incredibly popular. These include skateboarding and surfing, which had well-known celebrities like Tony Hawk and Kelly Salter. As a recruit, it became an unspoken requirement to include skater or surfer dudes in movies. While some focused on characters that participated in one of these sports, like surf ninjas, others had such characters slow up at least once. Quality wise, only a handful of these were genuinely good, while the rest were soon forgotten. Additionally, as extreme sports became more of a niche interest, fewer skaters and surfers show up in the media. I don't, again, I don't understand where this type of knowledge is from, but okay, that's fair. I mean, I did remember Cobra Kai and the Karate Kid, but then again, that was way, way back again. I didn't have a damn computer back then, but okay. Teenage hackers who can do anything. Oh, oh, this is just sad. But okay, we'll read it then. Living in a world where the internet has become integrated into our daily lives, one has to marvel at some of the ridiculous notions people had about it in the 90s. After all, the internet was just getting started, and so the possibilities seem endless. I think the only time I knew about this was Reboot, but then again, that was a while ago. And I think if they would have made a reboot film just called Reboot, there is no exception at all. And on top of that, I know that most like skank movies are freaking bad. I know I shouldn't say skank, but I just kind of feel like that's just what it says. Or it could be like just the girl genre of movies. But then again, that came out in 2000s instead of the 90s, so believe what you will. Thus, we got a bunch of movies that had teenage hackers in them who could literally pull off anything on the computer. Some famous examples include the teens from Hackers, which include a young Angelina Jolie, and the girl Lex Murphy in Jurassic Park. Now, while hackers do still show up in movies nowadays, they tend not to be teenagers. I think if I remember the movie that had maybe some hackers in it was Spy Kids 2. I did not watch the first Spy Kids or Spy Kids 3D because I feel like those movies just didn't really accumulate to me. I just liked the second film because it was funny. The only character gets a makeover to be accepted. From Clueless to She's All That, most 90s teen movies had at least one scene where a nerdy character gets a makeover that makes them prettier. Jesus Christ. Typically, these nerds were female, and they were either doing it to fit in with the popular kids or get the attention of a guy they liked. This is obviously not related to Buffy the Vampire, so in case you want to comment on, did I watch Buffy the Vampire as a teenager? Yeah, I was born in the 50s. You have no idea what it was like being a 50s kid. But, anyways, let's move on. At the time, this trope seemed harmless, as there were predecessors like Reese and the Breakfast Club. I almost said like Backstreet Boys, but no, that's just as Breakfast Club, which is almost similar to Backstreet Boys. I don't even know if you noticed that. Yet some feminist sets feminist sites like Refinery 29 have pointed out problems with the trope. Though since the early 2000s, with the movies like The Princess Diaries, makeover scenes don't show up as much. Oh no. Oh no. This is not. Oh no. See, I watched Matilda, and this is gonna be fucking sad. Like, this is gonna be sad. Oh my god. This guy passed away. Why? Why? Why are you. Oh, okay. Man dresses up as a woman for the sake of comedy. Oh my god. And I know about this movie called, like, what the hell was it called? I don't. Auntie Mama. Oh my god. This is just sad. Even though comedy is meant to make us laugh, it is also subject to change depending on people's taste. For instance, men cross dressing as women was a common trope in many comedic movies. This is especially true in the 90s, with the popularity of such films as Mrs. Doubtfire and The Birdcage. But as the Guardians, but as the Guardian point out, they end up perpiculating stereotypes about how women should behave and look. In addition, some of them come across as unintentionally insulting to the transgender community. So, given that recent cross dressing comedies like Jack and Jill weren't critically liked, is a sign of changing times. I can at least I can at least agree with that part. So Screenwreck gets a point. Token Native American characters who are mythical. Oh, oh no. Native Americans. Now listen, I'm not racist and never will be. I love cultures. Okay, maybe some of them. I love cultures, but the only culture that I never got into was the Native American cultures. Mainly because I'm not Native American and I'm just, well, a Caucasian demon with some, Italian traits. But yeah, this obviously seems very racist. So let's read it, I guess. Oh, this is the end? All right, well, I guess this is where we finally gonna end the video soon. And it's almost like 20 minutes, so we're just gonna make this long as hell. Because of a long and complicated history regarding Native Americans, their deception in media has changed a lot. For instance, they were originally depicted as the other, then in the 70s, Native American rights were protested, followed by the shift in the media to portray them as more sympathetic. Yet this led to another stereotype where a Native American character is mythical and aids the white protagonist. A clear example of this can be seen with the Indian in the cupboard and the other 90s kids movies. Since then, the only recent film that has such a character was the Lone Ranger movie in 2013, and there was a significant recall Blacklash gets it. So, in this entire montage, or whatever the hell they call it, I can't believe this was a thing. I just don't even understand why most things are just bad. Like 90s cliches like this are just terrible. I just hate it. Because here's the thing. The 1950s, they were a pleasant time. They were a time of rebuilding and a time of like television in some way. Hell, if I can recall a movie that I've seen when I was pretty much born in the 50s, was this movie right here. Now, I'm going to make a separate video on it when I do. So it's called, yes. So this is the 1958 film of Dracula, or Horror of Dracula, that came out in 1958. Yes, I was pretty much a toddler at the time. Don't ask why. But yes, this was where, well, I wasn't really that much of a toddler. I was more like almost a kid. I say like pretty young. So, yes. Uh this is what I was talking about. This is what I was talking about. So I do recommend you guys watch this film if you haven't. And to the people that were born in the 50s and seen this film when they were a kid, yeah, I definitely recommend you watch this because I was born in 1952, and the fact that this movie was amazing. It was awesome. And I hated how James Rolfe was like, you know what? I don't like this film. This is not as accurate as the original. But you know what? I'm not going to spread drama on that on Twitter or X. So believe what you will. Anyways, I guess that's all I can say. I'm Ego Flame. The Dragon Den is always watching.